everyone, I'm Jabaria and welcome to my channel, the best place for new and emerging leaders who want help navigating challenging conversations in the workplace. With the global pandemic and quarantine restrictions at various stages throughout the world, as well as the civil unrest in the quest for justice and peace, effective leadership is needed now more than ever. That being said, it's understandable that some employees may be experiencing various levels of uncertainty under these circumstances. As a leader, it's important to focus on what you can do to support them in maintaining a sense of normalcy, a sense of order at work. I know that remote leadership may be challenging because added to that fact is that you're managing your team at a distance. And this is uncharted territory for many new leaders. In this video, I'm going to share some working from home tips for success that you can share with your team to help them settle into the new work from home environment, especially when they're doing so for extended periods of time. I'll also emphasize a few things that you can suggest to your employees to help them take control of their personal workspace and create a productive at-home work environment as they continue to work remotely. So if you're interested, stay tuned. As companies continue to explore options to shift their business model to distant management and alternative work solutions, the traditional office setting is changing shape. To put it simply, it looks a lot different from what it used to look like. This makes it hard on employees who don't realize that for many companies, working remotely may slowly transition into the new normal. And while employees have different levels of comfort with alternative work changes taking place all over the world, it's up to you to take the lead in supporting your team as they adjust to this new normal. That's why I'm providing you with a few working from home tips for success. Managing at a distance can be challenging, and choosing the most effective communication method can also be difficult. So if you're a leader of a remote team, here are a few things that you can share to help guide them as they work from home. So let's get into it. Tip number 1, encourage your team to create a designated workspace. Many staff who work remotely usually work from home, and as such, it's common that they share their workspaces with family members, significant others, or with roommates. It's important for you to encourage your team members to designate a workspace within their home. It doesn't necessarily need to be a traditional home office. It just needs to be somewhere private where they can concentrate and work independently. Creating a designated workspace will provide that structure that many of us need to remain focused during the workday. Creating or designating a separate workspace helps employees to make the mental adjustment towards the new working environment. It also helps the employee to feel like there's a separation between work life and home life at the end of the day. This can make it easier to make the mental shift and end the workday when it's time to sign off or log off of the computer. If this is helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. Tip number 2, create a workday routine. As the leader, when you communicate with your team members, you would need to emphasize the importance of beginning the workday with a regular work routine. This could look like getting up before it's time to log on for the day and taking a shower or getting dressed. It could also be as simple as making time for a quiet cup of coffee or cup of tea. Some others may make time to read their favorite online daily briefing. Now, I'm not saying that it needs to be something elaborate or that employees need to dress in a 3-piece suit when they're working from home. What I am saying is that practicing certain morning habits will put them in the frame of mind that signals the workday is about to begin. Be sure to communicate that as each team member gets ready for work each day, they will need to establish a daily routine that's individual and works best for them. If you work from home and you have an established morning routine like this, let me know. Like this video and let me know in the comments below. I'd be interested in knowing what that is. Let's go on to the next tip. Tip number 3. Set clear boundaries. As you communicate with your team about becoming acclimated to working from home and achieving that working from home productivity, it will be important for your team members or employees to create clear boundaries. By this I mean that they will need to create clear boundaries with the people that they may be sharing their living space with. As I mentioned earlier, because employees may be working from home with potential interruptions, it will be important for them to create boundaries with family and friends during the workday. As staff share the same physical space for home and work life, it can be easy to blur those lines. To reduce the likelihood of this, you can suggest that staff schedule time throughout the day for taking lunch or for taking breaks if they need to step away. And it will be just as important for them to set clear boundaries with those at home by setting clear working hours or at-home office hours at the beginning and end of each day. Before we move on to the next tips, what is one thing that you've done to help your team get comfortable with working remotely? Let me know. Also, let me know if your team enjoys working from home. Do they not like it so much? Or is there a love-hate relationship with distance or remote working? So on to the next. Tip number 4. Provide consistent support and remind staff to pace themselves with the workload. It can be easy to try to accomplish more work that is humanly possible when we work from home because we can sometimes feel the need to overcompensate. This is largely due to the fact that we're not in a traditional office space where our colleagues can witness our productivity. The opposite can also be true, and some team members may be less productive as they work remotely. As the leader, you can counteract this and avoid either extreme by establishing performance metrics that specify what can be reasonably accomplished within the workday. This is why consistent communication and providing ongoing support are essential tools in the Managing Remote Workers Toolkit. One of the ways that you can provide support is through regular check-ins within employees, and also by encouraging team members to check in with one another. This is an excellent way for them to stay connected. Don't forget to remind your team to reach out to you for support as they need to. Although things can get pretty hectic for people leaders some days, it'll be important for you to dispel the notion of, my leader is so busy, I don't want to bother him or her. That's a myth. Be sure to let them know when and how they should communicate with you so that you can appropriately manage expectations and remain accessible. Tip number 5. Share information as transparently and as consistently as you can. Keeping your team updated with changes and work-relevant information is an easy and helpful tool that's readily available to you in order to maintain a connection. The lack of communication, and what's even worse, inconsistent communication from the leader, makes team members feel disconnected from the unit and from the company. This doesn't mean that you should divulge information that's restricted to senior leadership. I'm only referring to regular department updates or agency updates that are relevant to the work or to your particular industry. It's also important to be transparent about changes and consistent in relaying information that's relevant to your team and relevant to the work that you do. You can start by communicating your confidence in your team's ability to fulfill their weekly performance standards. This will go a long way in demonstrating that you know that they are capable of continuing the work in support of the mission. No matter the option that you choose to use from the suggestions that I've listed in this video, the key thing to remember is that it's important to communicate and do those things that will help you to stay connected to your team. When we work remotely, we don't interact in the same ways that we would if we were in the traditional workspace. That's why it's important to find unique and authentic ways to keep in touch and stay in tune with those that you lead. It's inevitable that when people feel connected and valued, they usually perform at their best. Now, if you're watching this video and you're interested in distant management tips related to how you can help your team feel connected as remote employees and how leaders manage at a distance and stay connected to teams during the pandemic, be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you can check that video out. As always, have a great week, be kind to yourself, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.